Going deeper with Jason George. Turtles. Tiny turtles and large turtles. Some of the turtles will be small enough to fit in your hand, while other turtles are bigger than I am. Traveling around Canada, Jamaica, and even the Grand Cayman Islands looking at some of these awesome turtles that the planet has to see. These critically endangered hawk-billed turtles are about to embark on a 20-year journey till they see land again. Unfortunately, many of these sea turtles will not see land again, and they'll be lost at sea.
I hope you're enjoying this series so far. What's your favorite episode? Well, maybe this one will become your favorite episode. Bones and I are going to take you on some awesome experiences in Canada, Jamaica, even Australia. I see some amazing turtle things. We're going to watch a mother turtle lay eggs. We've already watched some baby turtles crawl out of the sand. We're going to look inside a shell. We're going to see how big a shell actually is. And of course, we're going to go underwater with them.
We can see here a snapping turtle resting on a warm, sunny day. Turtles belong to one of the oldest reptile groups in the world. These cold-blooded creatures date back to the time of the dinosaurs, over 200 million years ago. Did you see my dinosaur footprint at the beginning? Many turtles face so many threats as hatchlings that just 1 in 1,000 survive into adulthood. But the turtles that do survive, they live comfortably up into 50 years or more. Some sea turtles don't actually reach sexual maturity until they are 50. And those ones typically live for 70 years or more. There are over 300 species of turtles in the world. We have 8 species of turtles that live in Ontario. You can find turtles around the world in shallow coastal waters, bays, lagoons, and even oceans and open seas. Turtles can live in freshwater and saltwater. They exist on all continents except for Antarctica. North America and Southeast Asia have the highest number of native species, while Europe has the least amount of native species found. Sadly, many species of turtles are endangered. 125 plus species of turtles and tortoises on Earth today are considered vulnerable, endangered, or critically endangered, according to the IUCN. Threats include loss of habitat, pollution, poaching, and the illegal pet trade. Whenever I see a turtle, it normally makes me smile because they're normally doing something interesting or in some funny pose. I can still remember some of my first encounters, like that one time on my way to hell in the Grand Caymans and I spotted these 2 turtles reproducing, or there was that time I was in the Galapagos Islands and these 2 male turtles I think were trying to reproduce. I was told that we got to meet Lonesome George on this trip. Lonesome George is the oldest turtle. We actually got to see penguins while we were there too, and swim with some wild turtles. I try to help turtles when I can. There was this one time in Algonquin Park I saw a sea otter eating a snapping turtle. I later came back and got the shell because some of them are tagged, and I returned the shell for studying purposes. I even planned a trip to Jamaica recently to help the critically endangered hawk-billed turtle. And when I sell my photo cards, I even adopt turtles sometimes for kids. So who is this?
Turtle.
Yeah, who is it?
Lollipop. It's Lollipop.
Look how big the shell is next to my size 12 shoe. Well, I don't know if that actually gives you the complete understanding. There, that's me with the shell on my back. Turtles are huge and they have this spine on the inside, right? That's the spine. So you gotta remember that the shell is a part of the turtle. So if you're ever helping a turtle, you need to support it and be careful with that shell. Look at the detail of this. Those are the vertebrae. Man, most animals all have vertebrae. Wait, that doesn't look like a turtle. That looks like a boy. That's about the size that a turtle would actually be if you were to see one. The shell is covered by shoots, which are modified scales, kind of. Most turtles have 13, and they're related to the full moon, some will say. There are nerve and blood vessels in the shoots, and they will bleed if damaged. They'll actually shed parts of them as they grow. All turtles have their bodies enclosed in bony shells. The top part of the shell is the carapace, and the bottom part, which covers the belly, is called the plastron. These two halves are joined along the sides at the bridge. Contrary to popular belief, a turtle cannot come out of its shells. Those cartoons lied to me. The turtle shell actually grows with them, so it's impossible for them to grow too big for it. Their shell is a part of their skeleton. As the turtles evolve, their ribs, sternum, and spine fuse to form that hard shell. And since the turtle shell is made of bone, a fractured shell is as painful as a broken leg. Rehabbing a turtle is hard because they are unable to regulate their own body temperatures. That's why we often see them sunning themselves. They need to be provided with a temperature range that is ideal for their particular species. And this temperature will allow them to have all their physiological functions: eating, breeding, moving. Injured turtles are even less active and are generally kept in a warm room because of their slow metabolic rate. Their general nature means that they're slow to do almost everything, from healing to crossing the road. Turtles are easy, though, to recognize. Most of us can quickly recognize one by its bony shell. This super tough casing acts like a shield to protect it from predators. Some turtles can actually tuck their heads up inside their shells for extra protection. Just like your bones, a turtle's shell is actually part of its skeleton. It's made up of over 50 bones, including its ribcage and spine. Most of the time when people see a turtle at the side of the road, it's laying eggs. And this can be a scary moment for the turtle and humans, because there's some people who try to save them. And the turtles are just sitting there, and they're almost, well, they actually are in a trance as they're laying those eggs. And they come to the side of the road because that's warm. And that's when problems happen, because cars go speeding by, and sometimes it's not a good thing. I was just able to save that turtle from the truck before it. Man, that was close and scary. Remember, if you're ever going to move a turtle, move it in the direction that it's going. A lot of people never get the chance to actually look up close at a turtle, but their shells are absolutely beautiful. All of those shoots, different colors, and they're so slow moving that algae actually grows over them. And if you actually look closely, you can actually notice that this one's laying eggs. She's dug her hole, and every time she's about to drop an egg, she pushes down. Have you ever witnessed a turtle at the side of the road laying eggs? It's actually a pretty awesome experience, and then you should crate it up and make sure that it's protected so that they can release and run free. And once mom's done laying the eggs, she leaves, and nature takes its course. Hopefully mother's dug them deep enough in a good spot, but if she hasn't, sometimes the foxes and other animals will come. Here's a loon egg that I happened to find next to a turtle nest that had probably been dug up by a fox. But if mom has done a good job, the turtles hatch and they grow up, and this cycle continues. Most turtles, though, are endangered, and that's because some people poach them, some people eat their eggs, and also they're losing their habitat. So let's take care of these turtles, these beautiful, ancient, prehistoric creatures. Look at it how it just stands up and is like, well, I'm gonna go. And these grasses barely stand a chance in the way of this turtle. It almost reminds me of Star Wars, and those machines that they have. Turtles have played a huge role in many cultures and in probably many designs around the world. And every time I go to Algonquin Park, I make a special moment to stop and just appreciate the turtles and the other carvings on this totem pole. The turtle has 13 shoots on it, and it's said that each one of those shoots actually represents a full moon, and that's based around what the calendar is made of. So if you think about how much of an impact the turtle actually has, it's pretty cool. One of my favorite photos of turtles is the green sea turtle in the Great Barrier Reef. This was an awesome experience getting to swim with them. Unfortunately, not every turtle that I get to see is in full healthy condition. You can see this one compared to that last one. This one has a bunch of what is potentially like herpes growing off of it. And I don't know what I can do to help it, so I just swam with it and observed it. It didn't seem like it was bothering it, but I can only imagine how much discomfort it must be to have those growths growing off of you. I wish there was something that I was able to do. I was actually kind of shocked to find a green sea turtle on this trip. I was in Jamaica this trip trying to actually help the critically endangered hawkbill sea turtles. I didn't know that I'd get to see a green sea turtle, let alone get to swim with one. Green sea turtles are around the world and they come here also to nest. So do the hawkbill turtles. These turtles will swim along the bottom of the water, and every once in a while they'll come to the surface because they need air. Yeah, these sea turtles are air breathers. That's pretty cool that they come to the surface and they'll catch a breath and then they'll drop down back into the bottom. But I need to go and leave this green sea turtle because I have an appointment with the critically endangered hawkbill turtles, and I got to do something pretty cool with the babies. I got to swim with these babies. This is the first time that they have ever been in water, and I got to go out and swim with them for a little bit. Wow, look at how amazing they are at swimming.
I've just woken up and I'm going for a morning beach walk, and I noticed that there's something going on the Unfortunately, there's in and out tracks. I wish I had just seen the in tracks, like into land. But still cool to find my own track.
Once you've found a track, now you have to record it. So you got to figure out the flippers and the front and the back flipper distance, and you've got to record all of this stuff. I'm not very good at that and figuring it out, but Omar here, he was really awesome, and he's like, well, this one and this one, and then we got to measure it and then we recorded it. It is honestly, it's a really cool process, and you can start to understand and see the difference between front flippers and back flippers the more I did it, and I started to understand the difference between turtles. And they can be 30 inches in between the flippers, 26 inches, and you start to understand that. All of this information gets tracked so that it can be recorded and the data can be analyzed. That way they can understand how they're doing and see the improvements. The cool thing is the first turtle I did was 307 purple.
Like what? So purple is the section, 221002 is the date, and then what's 3222?
32 is the front flippers.
Oh, okay.
That's the measurement of the front flipper.
Yeah, totally.
And the back one.
Yes.
22 is the back one.
This is what the turtle nest looks like once the turtle has actually laid its eggs. Behind the scenes, they have to check the eggs at about 60 days when they should be ready to hatch to make sure that they are actually going to hatch, because you don't want them to still be in eggs when people come. So they'll check them 60 to 100 days depending on what location the eggs are, or if they've had to move them, but they'll check them and they'll make sure that there's no bacteria or fungus growing, and they'll document it. Unfortunately, there is sometimes some turtles that actually do die, and some eggs that go bad because there's too much water in that area and they get waterlogged, or a predator might come in like a dog and dig them up. But here they do a pretty good job of making sure that they all survive. This is the first turtle egg that I saw. This is one of the first turtles I got to see actually coming out of the egg. Mom hawkbill turtles are actually pretty busy. They will lay upwards of 200 eggs at a time, and then 15 days later they'll come back and they'll lay more. Sometimes though you have to move them. On this trip I moved over 540 eggs. I got to see 800 plus babies crawling through the sand, and some of them I got to swim with. This was an amazing experience to get to see so many turtles.
Ad is recorded, every false crawl is recorded, the results from every nest is recorded, and what we bake. That's the egg that it grew off, and that's a live turtle.
How do they breathe under there to get out?
There's an exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen through sand. Both of those. So we'll check these before we take them down, like, you know, to make sure there's nothing wrong. But they'll go out really well because of the heat.
Cool.
Right, so what I did yesterday was I sorted through everything, and we've got some in, just a few in there as well. I don't like putting too many in, but the sand's nice and wet.
So some turtles got put in the incubator. Some of the eggs though, they're damaged, and I wanted to know what they looked like on the inside. So I opened one up and they looked just like a chicken egg. But the basic experience that most people get is they pick up a turtle from the bucket, they wash it off, and then they put it back in a clean bucket. And that process gets repeated over and over again. And then the turtles get taken to the back of the beach, and then they get released from the back of the beach, and they walk from the back of the beach. This is normally when most of them get eaten.
They've not been in the water, they've never exercised. This is getting them prepared to swim for the next 100 years, and they're setting their GPS to return here. And that's why we don't touch them.
These turtles will probably never set foot on land again for 20 years at least, if they make it that long. But if they can make it to the water, they have a much better chance of making it back into full adulthood. So that's what our job is to protect them from this spot to the water. And I gotta get this awesome opportunity to take pictures and videos of this whole experience. I love watching these turtles fight and crawl all over each other, and then they get close to the water, and then they get whacked by a wave, and then they get sent back. Honestly, it's awesome to watch. Have you noticed that the turtles are different colors? Some of them have light brown, some of them have more light brown. It's actually pretty awesome to see. And they all just float out to the sea and hope that they get to make it to adulthood. And some of them get left behind for a little bit, but they're generally pretty aware, and they know that they need to head to the water. It wasn't until my last day on this trip that maybe I witnessed the most amazing thing. It was a mom coming ashore, and she was dug a hole, one flipper at a time. She would slowly and methodically take one flipper, spin it around, grab some dirt, and repeat over and over again until this hole was as deep as her flippers could go. It was crazy. This probably went on for maybe an hour. I didn't know what to expect. She just kept going and repeated it. It was awesome. I noticed that the pace was starting to slow down, and again, I've never really seen this, so I just was watching it on. It seemed like she was sort of doing the last finishing touches on the house. And then she stopped and this thing came out, and all of a sudden a whole bunch of tiny eggs started falling. She would drop one, maybe two at a time. Most of the time it was one, and they would just keep going and going. And it was amazing. This whole process probably took 2.5 to 3 hours. So this turtle chose a good spot, because the next day when I went with Omar, we didn't end up moving this nest. So I never got to know how deep the nest fully was, but I know that to the top egg, it was 12 inches. It was laid at high tide, and her front flippers were 31 inches and her rear were 20. So this is a pretty big turtle, I think. What do you think? Because I was still in contact with Mel, the person who runs this place, I was able to find out how many hatched. So on February 7th, 96 days later, she hatched 118 eggs. There were 136 that were laid, supposedly. That's an 87% ratio, or success rate, which is pretty good for this part of the year, I'm told. That means that they'll end up having released over 22,000 eggs this 22 season. That's amazing that they've released so many eggs this year. And you can see that Turtle 315 is slowing down her egg production. It's awesome to watch and see each egg slowly fall and gently get placed down. And yeah, she's gonna come back in about 15 days and lay another 200, maybe 150 eggs. And she might do this a couple times, and then she'll come back in about 4 years. That's a pretty busy life cycle. I wonder where she goes in the meantime. I'd love to maybe see this turtle at a later date. Without a tracking device, I'll never actually know. It would be cool to have been able to tag this turtle, but I didn't know how to, as this was just my first time seeing a turtle, and I didn't want to leave it because I was super excited. But soon the turtle egg production stopped, and she started throwing her sand everywhere, covering the turtles, and she was spinning around. And although I had actually watched the turtle lay the eggs, I had a problem the next morning actually finding where the eggs were. That's how good of a job she did hiding them. This process is pretty tiring, and she covers the eggs with sand, pats it down, turns around, and then you'll notice every once in a while she'll actually take a break, because I'm guessing this is fully tiring. And they're not really meant to be on land all that much, so they prefer being in the sea. So it's got to be extra work. But I guess to raise your babies, you got to do something. So cheers to all the great moms and dads out there. So after a quick break, she rests and she's ready to go again. But I'm not sure if you guys understand just how big these turtles are. Like, this thing is massive. And this isn't even the biggest sea turtle out there. The loggerhead is bigger. I would love to see one of those. But just to get an understanding, no, I'm not actually touching it. I'm just putting my hand next to it. And you can see how it's just turning and moving all this sand around it. It's awesome to watch this beautiful creature work. Once she's done covering and refixing the holes, she's got to make that long walk back to the sea. And yeah, it's just over this next hill, and it's awesome to watch this turtle just slowly make her way back. After a quick rest, she's off, and you can see the excitement as she's almost feeling the wetness in the sand with each stride. Oh, That salt water hits her face and she must be so excited that she can almost swim. And in 60 to 100 days, her babies would follow her. They'll slowly crawl out of the sand, one at a time moving. They all work as a team to slowly get higher. As they crawl higher, the sand shifts and goes lower and slowly just elevates them up to the top of the surface. And then they break the surface. And it's a free-for-all. It's awesome watching them. Most times you don't actually get to capture this moment of the turtles actually fighting and struggling out. All you actually see is the moments after. You see these footpaths, and maybe you get to see some of the baby turtles still fighting their way to get to the sea. But if you ever see this footpath, know that you've just missed a turtle release, a natural turtle release. Having the opportunity to not only watch and be so close to these critically endangered hawkbill turtles has been a memory and moment that I'll never forget. I've had some pretty cool moments with animals, but the fact that these animals have been around since maybe the dinosaurs is really cool to me. And I don't know, there's something about a sea turtle to me that is so cool and cute. And they're just so fun to watch. But as they go off to sea, let's wish them peace be the journey. I hope in 20 years you get to come back to land and lay your eggs. Or reproduce with a female if you're a male. Because I have no clue how to figure out what you are. But I do know that my love of turtles came way back when I was a kid. It might come back to the Ninja Turtle times. Yeah, turtles have had an impact on me, and I have this really cool turtle skull. This is a snapping turtle. You can tell because it's pointy and it's so big. It's from Canada. The person who gave it to me also told me it was a snapping turtle. But that's pretty cool. And then you can see over here, you can see this thing that I built. I built it with two-sided plexiglass so that you can see through it and actually get to see the spine. Because not many people actually get to see the spine of a turtle. And in this one, you can actually see that there's a little baby skull. This is a painted turtle skull. The sheer size and variety in turtles is absolutely shocking to me. You might not get to see turtles all that well because they are a little bit shy sometimes. But when you do get to see them, enjoy these beautiful creatures because they're awesome. Just sit back and watch sometimes, and they'll entertain you.
Getting to see a critically endangered hawkbill sea turtle lay its eggs, that was amazing. And getting to swim with babies, that's an experience I'll never forget. Check those out. I have longer videos on all of those topics.
Well, for those of you that are smart enough to wait till the end of the video, you know that I save my favorite videos till here. So I hope you enjoy. If you enjoy coloring, reach out to me because I just created this new coloring book. It's 14 pages of free fox coloring, and there's videos that go along with the pages that you can color. Yeah, all you have to do is email me. Or you can buy it for $1 on my website. Well, until next time, have a good one. I hope you enjoy this journey. Do you know what the next video is? It's gonna be fun. We'll also go underwater in that one. Well, stay safe, have fun, be good.